Hey everyone, it's Types, and today I'm going to be talking about the top decks in Standard. This isn't a tier list. I did a tier list relatively recently, and people always like complain on tier lists, so I'll do this video so people surely won't complain, right? But anyways, I'm going to be talking about the metagame and just the top decks, my thoughts. This isn't necessarily like a worlds-focused video, or really anything like that. I mean, the reason I tend not to make too many tournament-specific videos, even for the World Championships, is because, most people watching the video are not going to be playing in that tournament, and nor am I. Um, so even if I was playing a tournament, I still probably wouldn't make a video on it because, again, most people don't really play it and like don't care that much. So more general stuff is better. And also the more specific stuff doesn't do as well. But regardless, let's hop right in. I'm not going to talk too much about some of the decks like Dragapult. I'm not going to talk too much about Dragapult right now. I recently made a video talking about the different builds of Dragapult, so if you're interested in that, you could check that out. It was kind of about the builds and different tech cards as well. Long story short, I don't love the current builds which feel, I don't know, kind of slow is kind of how I describe it. I don't think they're obviously like bad or anything like that. I mean, obviously Dragapult's very good. And I don't think being a slower deck is bad either, but I think the way in which you want to slow the game down is probably going to be Badoo, and most of us are running one Badoo, and then they're not running Rare Candy. Like Rare Candy is the fast card kind of, and then Badoo's the slow card, and it feels like decks are just kind of shying away from both of those. I suppose Crushing Hammer is the slow card, so maybe I just don't like Crushing Hammer. I don't like Crushing Hammer. I don't think it's fun, so I just don't really play that card. In some ways, that's kind of replacing Badoo as the slow card, but it's also a card. I mean, the reason I think it's a really badly designed card. I think in the past I made a video on that. It's a card that, I mean, the reason why it's badly designed, which I think is something most people can probably agree with, is the fact that it's a card that, because obviously Pokemon is a game, and game is supposed to be fun, and there's in some ways only a certain amount of fun. But, some cards are going to be fun to play with, some are more fun to play against. Crushing Hammer is neither. It's a card that if you flip heads when you're playing with it, you feel okay. The card's doing more or less what you thought it was going to do. It's a little fun, but it's not that fun. And then if you're playing against Crushing Hammer, it feels pretty bad when your opponent flips heads. It feels like you're kind of getting scammed to some extent. You're like not exactly, but I mean, they're doing something that they got in some sense got lucky to do, and it can really be it's annoying as well. Getting your energy removed is annoying in general, and when it's tied to luck, it feels more annoying. And then on the other hand, if you play Crushing Hammer and you flip tails, now you feel like you've gotten scammed. You literally played a card that didn't do anything, and then your opponent feels relieved. But like, so either one person, pretty much one person feels relieved and person feels bad about it. So it's not fun in my opinion. But I don't know if you like it. I guess tell me in the comments section. Regardless, I don't like playing it in Poll. I don't think it necessarily perfectly belongs in it. I don't think it definitely doesn't belong in it either. But I think say maybe more Badoo, and then some candies and stuff like that. But you see those in some lists as well. It's not like none of the lists play that. And Poll is a deck where there are a lot of different builds, which is actually really cool. I think Poll is. I struggle to say it's a good addition to the meta game because it's obviously very powerful. In some ways, it's also maybe a little overrated. It's not broken. Well, it's kind of broken. But people act like it's just like the greatest deck ever. At times, people overreact in general. I mean, who doesn't? I certainly do. But Bolt, I think, has gotten to the point of being a little overrated. But regardless, Bolt is still very good. And well, there was lots of stuff to say about it. I'm just going to kind of leave it at that for this video. If I want to weight it based on how much the decks are played, I'd spend more time out there. Then we have Mega Excadrill. I've talked about this deck before as well. But honestly, Mega Excadrill is good. Like, I didn't want to say this before. I was like, I didn't think it was going to be good when it first revealed. A lot of people didn't, so I'm not, like, alone in saying that. But Mega Excadrill, it works pretty well. It works really smoothly. Okay, sorry. I'm going to look at some other lists real quick. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to open up, like, 4 lists or something like that, maybe 5. Because I was gonna say something about Trolley, and okay, this list runs Cape. I've seen some Cape in the deck. I actually, I don't like Trolley Petrol decks, because Trolley Petrol is something. Well, Team Rocket's Petrol isn't a super good supporter. Once the game goes on, it doesn't really do very much. So I see some more lists running Heroescape, which is interesting to see here. Let me open up that first list again. And Heroescape is, it is an interesting card. How good is it in Mega Extra? It's fine, I guess. Heroescape's ultimately just not a super amazing card in general, but you have the Metangs, you have the Drillburs, which you can get pretty easily. With a Poffin, you can turn one Petrol for a Poffin, hopefully start a Poffin or like two basics or whatever. If you don't get Genesect early though, that does seem a little sketchy. I'm not gonna lie. Not 100% sure how you're supposed to get the evolutions. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's you like Ultra Ball for the Genesect, right? Or just like get the Genesect, but it feels like you could end up. Oh no, sorry, you call for family. Yeah, you can call for family for the Genesect, so you can do that. But you kind of need to start the Drillbur to do that as well, right? If you don't start Drillbur, you then I don't know. I feel like it's a little sketchy here. And I don't love the Petrol. I mean, you could just like Lilies as well. Lilies is good, so in some ways having Petrol as the backup to Lilies works pretty well. And then also you do have some tankiness. I guess the Zombo Ice Cream alongside Heroescape works decently well. Um, Ultimately, though, the deck still doesn't do too much as the game goes on, really after turn one, or two, I suppose. It does some stuff in the early game and like sets up, and those are like the make or break turns. But outside of that, the deck doesn't do too much. But it doesn't need to do that much. Sorry, it doesn't. You don't play that many cards. You do lots of damage though, and you have lots of health, and that's very good. Quite simply, you don't need to be doing crazy stuff once the game goes on. So the deck is pretty good. It does what it needs to, and it gets there pretty consistently. And honestly, it is very good. It's a deck that isn't super. It's not a deck that I necessarily want to be good because I think it's boring. And also, I don't want to look wrong when I said it wasn't good before it was revealed. But again, I'm not alone in that. But I was wrong on that one. And yeah, I think it's going to be pretty good until rotation, when I don't think it's going to be very good anymore. That'll be another discussion. I mentioned it in a previous video, but yeah, I guess still solid. It's not the best deck. I don't know. It's good. It's not crazy. Then we have Festival Lead. Festival Lead is, um, it's kind of vulnerable. Gladium's Final Battle is a super sick card. I'm not gonna lie. It's so cool, right? But it is good, right? The deck is still vulnerable to spread. You don't have too much counterplay. I mean, you have Rabska, right? And I mean, there's a reason other decks aren't playing Rabska. And Festival Lead it's because Festival Lead has to play Rabska because it can't play some of these other cards. I mean, it can't play Battle Cage, right? Or any other Pult counter stadium. So, I definitely think that Festival Lead, it could do some crazy stuff, right? It's semi-linear. You're not really doing spread. We can take multiple knockouts, and Diplin is pretty strong. I mean, Diplin's doing 100. You add on another 30 with Brave Bangle. You add on another 80, so that's 210. Obviously you can double that as well. It depends whether if you like one shot something the first time, that's good. And if you don't, it can still certainly be fine. One shot something with the first attack, not in a singular turn, but you can get multiple one shots in one turn, potentially on big Pokemon. Your opponent obviously kind of needs to let you do that, so that probably won't happen. Certainly don't bank on that happening. But yeah, I mean, it is good. It is very sketchy, but well, it's not overwhelmingly sketchy. I mean, because you have the Goldeen, you need to get that in play to get set up. Honestly, Seeking isn't super good. I mean, yes, it draws you cards, which in some ways quote keeps you in the game, but I don't know. I feel like you don't really need that. Once you're going, you're chilling. So I don't love the Seeking of the deck, but it is nice. It can be nice in some situations. Getting more stuff. Who's really complaining about that? Um, yeah, I mean the deck is definitely really fun though. I think it's not a deck I've played too much with Gladions, but I love I love cards in hand stuff. So it's a pretty good deck. Then we have Slowking. Slowking, again, some similar stuff to Festival. I've said this, in the past. Last time I made a video like this, Slowking is able to take big knockouts, but is sketchy. Ultimately, I think Slowking is just a little too sketchy, reliant on, I mean, popping off. And yes, you don't need to pop off every turn. You can still win even if you don't. But I don't know. The main Hanscon Latias engine, I don't love either. I mean, it's all right, certainly. It's also not super powerful, and the synergy with the deck is somewhat mediocre. You have the Cypher Maniac synergy, which is something, but you also have all these liabilities, and I think decks will be able to capitalize on that Um, I think they're already able to capitalize on it some, and I think they'll continue to be able to improve in that regard. Targeting down your two prizer, your single prizer, or your three prizer to level which they want, and also if you get Shamaned, you can't really do Kyurem, which is your best threat by far. Otherwise, looking at big one shots on the active, which is fine, but there are other single prize decks that can do that. I'd say do a little better than Slowking. Um, and then you can just stall out as well. Like you can run out of your patches or just not hit them. I mean, your engine again isn't super impressive. Can be slow. Surviving sword breaking can be nice, but it's honestly kind of like Thwacky. But Thwacky works better, and Thwacky doesn't work amazingly anyways. We get Alakazam, the third single prize deck of, I guess, four. I'll pull up Dhelmise as well. We'll talk about it, I suppose, after this. But really, kind of the third of three. Let's be honest. And Alakazam is solid. I mean, Toucannon here helps with some stuff. I think the Dunsparce is still fine in the deck. It makes some level of sense. I still think the Dunsparce is. I don't know if it's overrated. I'd say it's a little overrated. Certainly something that can be misused. I think if if we're talking about the World Championships or something like that, people will use it a little more responsibly there. But yeah, I mean, Alexam, this is a much more straightforward single prize deck. Still can be vulnerable, but you can run these stadiums, which you can't. There's other decks. You can take big knockouts. You can kind of burst these knockouts into play pretty quickly and consistently. And again, Toucan does round some stuff out. Helps you if you hit by disruption a little bit more. Helps you as an attacking option in some different situations. So it's a solid addition to the deck. It's not a crazy addition, and I don't know if it's necessarily the right addition or what the count should be, but it is definitely an interesting card within the deck that I think it's really cool. I think Toucan honestly is like I was considering making a video on card design. I've actually made a video on Toucannon's card design already, but like has some of the best design cards in Standard. I think Toucannon is just super cool there, super balanced, but such a cool card and balanced to the competitive level. So yeah, I really do like the card there, and I think it fits pretty well. Um, and Alexam, if you're looking for a safer but still like flashy, I guess, single prize deck, it's pretty cool here. But in some ways, it's more fair than some of the other single prize decks. Also, this is a deck that sometimes randomly gets like overrated by people. Occasionally, I get comments. This used to happen like a ton, a little while ago. People are just like Alexam's like super broken. It's like not that. And it was actually worse at the time as well. But the hype's died down. Alexam's still a pretty solid single prize deck. Arguably the best. I'd probably say the best is Festival Lead, though. Then we have Dhelmise. Dhelmise is. I'm going to pull up like a newer list. I don't know. I'll just go with this list, I guess. I mean, I just don't like. I've said this before. I stand by it. I don't love the Baynats. I don't love the Shuppets. I mean, honestly, the deck is. Dhelmise is good in the early game. As the game goes on, it becomes worse. I've said that. I think everyone kind of knows that. And you really need to then lean into it in the early game because that's when it's where its strengths are. And I don't. I mean, yes, I think Gwen's really good. I think Person Power is really good for the deck, and obviously you have Ultra Ball there as well. I mean, I don't love Legacy Energy to be honest in the deck. It doesn't do anything with the energies of the different types there, and giving up less prizes is fine. Obviously, any deck giving up less prizes is going to realistically be good, but I don't know. I mean, I'd rather see an ace spec that allows you to just do some better stuff. An ace spec that's a little more of an objectively good ace spec. Legacy Energy, I guess, is objectively okay. Giving up on those prizes, as I said, is decent, but if you're not taking advantage of the extra energy types, like literally at all, like you have literally only one type of energy or attack cost in the deck, which is like super weird. Most decks have a few, even just on some support Pokemon, but like Lily's is still psychic, and there's a bunch that are just colorless. So I don't know. I think you need to lean into it more to make it the best it can be. And obviously, it is a new deck, and it's a deck that people are messing around with, and people I think want it to be better than it is. I mean, for a while, I thought this deck was close to my Excadrill. I don't think my thoughts on this deck have really decreased. I think my thoughts on my Excadrill have increased, where my Excadrill is like a top 5 deck in the game or something like that. This isn't. I wouldn't say a top 10 deck necessarily. I think it's close-ish to that. And but it has legitimate limitations. You look at Slowking, you look at I mean, I say Slowking's the biggest example of it, where it's a deck with significant limitations. And Hide and Seek has limitations. They're kind of the opposite, though. Hide and Seek is, in some ways, a deck that's too fair. It's fast, but it doesn't do anything crazy. I mean, you can try to go for the crazy stuff like Spiritomb, I've seen some people talk about that and messing with it. It's fun. I think it's more fun than good. It's a little slow. Theoretically, can do some crazy slashy stuff at the end of the game, paired with Sinistcha. And Sinistra's like an alright card as well. I mean, I stand by the fact Banette's very mediocre. It's I was talking about Talonflame EX in another video. I've talked about it a bunch because it is the best card um from Delta Rain slash Storm Emeralda there, I'm pretty sure. And that card is kind of similar, but it has a lot more HP. It does more damage, and it searches for more cards. Yes, it's a two prizer. Yes, it's stage 2, I guess. I mean, it's probably easier getting to play than Bayonet, but yeah, it's a little faster. It's a little stronger. It's just a little better. And Talonflame EX isn't broken or anything. It's fine. Bayonet can be used in some different situations. It can be fine, but also, I mean, the Shuppet having a retreat cost of 1 when you don't really have legitimate switch options. I mean, we see one switch in this list. That's the only switch type card in the deck. Then you're not going to get those turn 1 attacks, and if you're not, like you can kind of compare this deck to Lost Zone when that was good, but Lost Zone's strongest asset wasn't Cramorant. Cramorant was fine, and you could lean into that, or you could not lean into that. Here, you kind of have to lean into that turn 1 attack, get 4 in the other zone, I'll say, because obviously, with Lost Zone, you get in the Lost Zone, here you get in the discard, and it's doable, right? With Gwen, you could even use Explorer's Guidance. I still think that card is all right in this deck. But people are leaning into Gwen. Gwen is good. And yeah, I mean, Poltergeist also is free retreat, so that's good there. And you can even play the free retreat Dunsparce if you want. I don't know if that's right or wrong. Obviously, the free retreat Dunsparce having less HP, having 6 HP, pretty vulnerable to Dragapult. This deck is good against Dragapult, though. It is very good against Dragapult, in my opinion. It's the deck that I just think is like so good against Dragapult, because it just one shots the Dragapult, and you're kind of protected on the bench, sort of. Also, I don't think you need Patrat. Like, that seems kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not really sure what that's here for. Someone, I guess, tell me. Like it stops Monkey Dory, but you want to stop Monkey Dory, your ability, and those are the Pokemon that are vulnerable to it. So I don't know. It feels a little weird. I mean, I could see it being useful in some situations, I suppose, but I don't know. Patrat's not usually played that much, so this being the deck it's played in feels weird. But regardless, the deck is cool and okay. It's not terrible. I've heard some people say it's just like bad, and it's not bad. But it is what it is, and if you don't treat it like that, then you're gonna think it's pretty bad there. Then we see the next deck, which is other, which we're skipping. We see Mega Lucario here. Mega Lucario is certainly fine. Don't really have anything to say about this deck either, to be honest. Oh, Hammers. Oh, I don't like that. As I was saying, I don't like Hammers as a card. I don't think it's super fun. I've said that Mega Lucario is too fair. I've said that in the past, and Crushing Hammer is a less fair card. It can be bad. It can be nothing, right? As I was saying, but it can be really powerful as well. So Crushing Hammer within Mega Lucario, is that what it needs to push it over the top? Not really, I don't think. I don't know. What are people playing in the deck? Are most people running hammers? I don't think they are, but I've seen it like occasionally, I guess. Yes, most are running it pretty simply and straightforward. I think the Dunsparce is also not, um, the Dunsparce I don't think is super good. When talking about fair cards, I don't think the Dunsparce is fair either. I think it's less than fair. It's not super good. It does help against disruption. Technically, you can struggle if you get like hit by disruption and stuff. I don't know. Like, why does it run Marshadow? Why don't you run Hariyama? Hariyama's like fine. I don't know. I feel like you should run Hariyama over the Dunsparce. And Dunsparce makes the deck more fair, which is not what you want. I think you want this deck to be more like, like Hariyama is a card that when it pops off, it's really good. It's an extra gust. It's gust in turn, which you also play another supporter. That's really good. And yeah, I guess I will say Wild is good. That's a card that is kind of crazy at times, right? It's not always crazy. There are times when it's kind of bad, but there are times when it is really nice and doing these things that, like Crushing Hammer, and like Hariyama, they're letting you do like really powerful bursty plays. I'm using the term unfair. I don't mean problematic or necessarily broken, but I mean doing something that is more than, I guess, like advancing you a turn up kind of ahead of your opponent, giving you some access to an extra resource that normally you wouldn't have, or something like that. But it might be a bit riskier, and I think Wise fits within that pretty well. Honestly, a card I kind of forget about, and it feels like people do as well in a lot. I mean, index like this, because it's fine, but it's certainly not an overwhelmingly impressive card here. Then we have We have Toucannon. I don't actually know what this deck is. I'm not gonna lie. Well, I guess I do. It's like Parabox, right? Um, what is this? That's a Mega Lopunny. The way Limitless classifies stuff is weird. What? Okay. So regardless, Toucannon as a card is fine, as I was saying. Toucannon as a deck is not really a deck, to be honest. I mean, it's like part of a deck, but as an attacker, it's at best a deck where you have two different attackers. It can be one of your attackers, I think, and I don't think it'd take more than that. It can't take more than half of the attacking. In a deck like this, it's really most of it, and as a in terms of damage, it's not that impressive. Even combining it with like Dusknoir, that's and I'm not really loving that. Dusknoir's fine, but I don't think this is the home for it. Um, Dusknoir is, going with these big swingy plays that like are a lot of commitment. Toucan's the other way around, and they don't balance each other out. I just think they don't work together super well there. Um, what are the other lists? This one's Mega Lopunny. I mean, in some ways this kind of works. I guess. I mean, you can use Fan Rotom. That's the synergy. And I don't know. I don't think Toucan really belongs here. It's not really an engine. It is an engine. It's not super impressive, though it is a secondary attacker. It's a legitimate secondary attacker. It's a pretty good secondary attacker. I think it fits well in that role. Here it feels like it's trying to do more than that. And if not, I mean, Mega Lopunny, I don't despise this. I haven't messed too much with Mega Lopunny. It kind of fell off, right? It's one of these decks, which is like, the top one of the set or whatever, but it's certainly not the most impressive deck around, but it's okay, I suppose. So this plays Chien-Pao. Why does it play Chien-Pao? Oh, it's for Team Rock's Watch Out. Yeah. Then the third list I'll look at here is sorry, that's list I looked at the first time. The third list is going to be the Terra Box deck. I think this is interesting. Toucannon Terra Box works all right, honestly. With Terra Box having different options, the thing I'm struggling to see is like what's your main attacker? Or like your consistent attacker. In some ways, previously it was Lilies. Yes, Toucannon is stronger than Lilies objectively by 40, but it's not some tank. So I don't know. I don't really love the deck. I don't hate it. I think it works okay. Toucannon wants Terras, and having Terras. I mean, Terra Box is the Terra deck. So that's cool. Well, okay. I guess if you're talking about the best Terra deck, that's obviously Dragapult, and I have seen some Toucannon in Dragapult, and I don't think it's super impressive there. But Toucan is interesting. It's really interesting. It's not super strong, but again, as a secondary attacker, I think it works well. Providing because obviously, if it's a second attacker, the question is like, if it's not good enough to be a main attacker, why even playing it? It's because of that extra draw and that versatility and like consistency in obviously adding the draw, but also adding the attack there. It is still a stage 2 as well, so it does require a reasonable chunk of resources set up, even alongside Fair Rotom helping it out a little bit there. It's always actually functions similarly to Dragapult as a solid attacker and a solid draw engine, except for the fact that Dragapult's a better draw engine, Dragapult's more damage. So I don't think this card's amazing, obviously, and I don't think anyone thinks it's like amazing, but it is interesting, definitely. Then we have Raging Bolts. There's been some talk about this deck with Storm Emeralda with Rayquaza. Yeah, you can do big damage there. It's not some pure powerhouse the way it kind of has been. I mean, with Professor's Vitality, you have a sketchier engine. You have, you just don't have quite the level of juice you're necessarily looking for, and you're also relatively linear. You do have some different things you can do with like some different attackers, I guess, but it's not that impressive, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm not loving Raging Bolt. I'm certainly not hating it. It's fine, but I think it's just fine. Then we have. Oh, I missed ends. Oh, I missed ends and Marnies. Yeah, 'cause I skipped over them. So I'll talk about Marnies first, and I'll talk about ends. It's like, why is ends so low? But yeah, we got Marnies here. Marnies is fine, I suppose. Obviously, you can use Monkey Dory pretty well. Probably the best of any deck in the game. You are pairing it with Frostlass, really leaning into Monkey Dory. That's not necessarily bad. But I mean, Monkey Dory as a card is good. It's not like broken. It's just good. And then You can use it well, but you're not like making perfect, amazing use out of it. Actually, I guess maybe the deck that uses it the best would be like Blissey, or you can really just not worry too much about the extra energy there. Here you are worried about a little bit. It's not horrible, but you're not getting like 3 of them powered up for free or anything like that. It's fine. Gwen's a cool addition to the deck, I suppose. I think Gwen's just a solid supporter in general, but Marnie's is, I don't know. It's fine, right? Don't have like anything crazy to say about it here. Don't think it's amazing or anything. Speaking of good darkness decks, though, I do think, and Zoroark EX is still very good. I've said this in the past. I stand by it. To me, it is clearly deck number 2 in the metagame. Again, maybe I said Mega Show's top 5. That might be deck 3 for me. I'm not sure. But obviously, you have draw. You have a solid attacking option. You have like your attacker in Zoroark EX copying different attacks. So you have the option to do snipe. You have the option to do pretty big damage. You even have a shred attack, which is like cool, I guess. Um, you have damage buffs, you have energy acceleration, but those are getting a little sketchier. Like Binding Mochi's, I guess Binding Mochi's not too sketchy. And you have Pecker in the X as well, which is nice for the deck. And then NSPP up is pretty good, I guess. It's like Wonders Patch, but it's not quite. It's. I mean, it only works on one Pokemon. I don't know which one's better. They're kind of the same card, to be honest. There. Also, Berry is interesting. How's the math work on this? 330? So you actually do live a hit there. That's interesting. Is it good? I don't know. I'd probably actually run the Ends Restroom as well if I was running Berry. But regardless, yeah, it's cool. Transformation Tome as well. This is the deck that uses it by far the best. Transformation Tome is such a sick card, and it works pretty well in the deck. This deck is definitely a deck that tries lots of different things, and it sometimes flops. So that is the issue. You kind of end up doing not enough or like piecing things together too late, which is the biggest issue of the deck, but it is still a very good deck there. And again, I really like it. It does a lot of similar things to Dragapult with the big damage stuff, but it requires some specific pieces, which can kind of crumble at times as well. Then we got Ogerpon Meganium, I suppose I'll talk about here. Any other deck I'll talk about Mega Chandelure. Sure, why not? Spoiler, I'm not going to say very good things about Mega Chandelure, unfortunately. But yeah, subscribe before you get there, because I don't want people to be sad that Mega Chandelure isn't that good. But anyways, Ogerpon with Meganium, you compare it with like some different things. I think Arboliva and or like Hydrapple, which might actually be a different deck. I don't know. On Limitless, how they're doing that at the moment. But regardless, we have Ogerpon with Meganium. Ogerpon with Meganium is by itself. They're just like a solid combo with Ogerpon doing pretty solid damage. And obviously, Meganium, like really boosted the damage. Ogerpon providing some draw. And then you pair it with some other grass Pokemon. Force of Vitality is good. It doesn't exactly get you evolve faster, but it kind of does. And you still don't need to jump through the hoop of rare candy. You still need to kind of jump through some hoops, but Force of Vitality is definitely a good card. You have Bug Catching Set as well. Obviously, Bug Catching Set is both powerful and random. Being random, I would definitely say, is bad. But being powerful is good. Crazy taste there, I know. But yeah, this deck is fine enough. I don't have too much to say about it. It's not crazy good. It can hit weak to sun. Some good stuff, though, I guess, is worth mentioning. And is a good grass deck. Grass is solid right now. It's not amazing. There's a point at which it was very impressive, but it's just all right. And then we have Mega Chandelure here. Mega Chandelure is super fun. It's kind of terrible, right? You look at Mega Chandelure itself as an attacker, it's really bad, right? Like there, I think it's legitimately pretty terrible. As an attacker, it doesn't do that much damage. It's semi-expensive stage 2. It's 2 energy. And it's just like it has like these weird requirements. It gets shut down by Latias EX, which is like very good and all over the place. And then you look at the ability trapping wise, and it's okay. Again, shut down by Latias though, so then you can use Maractus instead. If you're using Rakdos, then you don't need to make a Chandelure. You don't need this stage 2. Then the single price Chandelure, its attack is definitely better. Damage-wise, it's okay. Can be good at times. And then you look at the what is it? You can also look at the ability, and that does as an engine, as in terms of drawing you cards, because it really is your engine in the deck. It's pretty bad, especially when you're playing like lots of Zero 6, which is not helping you with the draw. Obviously, it's kind of sucking up some supporter slots there. And then you look at the fact that you're giving your opponent a card. This obviously, yes, it does help them deck out faster, which is good to do, but it actually gives them cards. And like it like legitimately gives them cards, even paired with 0-6. It's still legitimately giving them cards. So you're still helping your opponent some with the ability. The ability is really fun, but honestly, it's pretty bad. Like Toucannon's ability is probably better than Chandelure's ability. Even within this deck, yes, Chandelure and get your opponent to decking out, which is fun, but I think it's mostly gimmicky, most reliant on your opponent like misplaying and stuff as well. It's hard to say cards particularly good if your opponent really needs to misplay to lose to it. So I like this deck. I like it legitimately. I do. I wish I could say better things about it. That's what I have to say here. Limpin, Litwick with Telepathic is cool. Elgium's cool. Clefairy actually works well with the Mega Chandelure. And Comfy works all right with it as well. But I mean, it's like Spidops EX. Spidops EX was really bad, and this is worse. So yeah, I'd love this deck to be good. It's not. Well, I'd love it to be okay. It's not really okay. But anyways, tell me your thoughts on these decks in the comment section. Any decks I didn't talk about you want to hear me talk about. But also make sure you like and subscribe and hit the bell because that really does help support me in the channel. It means a ton. And also huge shouts to my YouTube members for supporting me. That means a ton as well. And as always, you could also join as well. And I believe there's a free trial or something. Not sure if that's actually there. But hope you all enjoyed. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.